So I wanted to first welcome everybody to this afternoon's presentation. We are having our parent orientation for the Early College Academy. My name is Monica Margayan. I'm the coordinator of the program, of the Early College Academy program. I have worked for MESA for 20 plus years. I know I was really young, so there's no way I probably started very young working for MESA. I work with community outreach, and I'm very proud of this program, and I'm very excited for our second year starting this program. I'm going to have Samantha Calvin introduce herself. She will be the following, the other facilitator to this orientation. Samantha?
Hi everyone, my name is Samantha and I've been with MCC for a few years now. I'm actually a professor in the health sciences department at Mesa Community College, and I've been working with early college programming now for a number of years. So I'm really excited to meet you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. I also have here Ana Cadillo. She is part of our staff, and I know that Ana has been helping me to reach out to a lot of the parents in finalizing the admissions portion of students' documents. So Ana, if you can wave and say hi, just for everybody to know who you are.
Hi, how are you?
Not sure if I have, I do have Celeste Andrade, and I will introduce Celeste in a minute as well, because she will be a key component to your kids' engagement in the program. So we're going to get started. Sam, if you can go through the first slide, please. So I want to provide a little bit of an overview of what the program is. Several of you must have already looked at the application process, have looked at our website where it describes what the actual program is. And I do have to say that this is a very unique program, and it's a wonderful collaboration with Mesa Public Schools and Mesa Community College, where we give your high school student the opportunity to experience in their freshman year of high school an actual college environment. By doing that, they're also enrolling in college courses that will meet college degree requirements at the same time that it's meeting your high school graduation requirements. So that's a very unique opportunity for our students. Mesa Community College and Mesa Public Schools were very closely together in coming up with the list of courses that would meet all of those requirements for this specific program. Our goals and our program expectations are the following. We are here to provide that opportunity to experience a college structure environment. It's in a very structural environment that your students will have that opportunity. We'll provide tools and support in order for your students to be academically successful in the program. We'll assist your students in identifying their career goals and educational outcomes, and encourage you as parents to be part of, much involved in your son's or daughter's educational path. We feel that it's very important for a parent to be involved and engaged, because that allows that support to those students, knowing that you guys are there all the way through. And finally, we help them do that transition from high school into college, a college setting. They may be in college at this point, but then they still have to transition into a full-time in a college setting. Next slide, Sam. Thanks. So I wanted to go over a little bit of the course sequence. Several of you, if you had the opportunity to attend our informational sessions, received that information already, but I wanted to touch on that as well. So if you can see, this is the actual course descriptions and how the sequence will be from when they start sophomore year all the way to their senior year. So their sophomore year, it's going to be 4 courses per year, 2 courses per semester, and each course is a 3 credit hour course in the college side. And you can also see there the what it will transition into the high school area. So you are going to see that a lot of the courses fall into electives in the high school area, but at the same time, They are very important college courses. So you will get this list. I will send it to you after we're done with our presentation. I will email this actual list to everybody to take their time and look at each one of them. And you can see the course descriptions for all of the courses that your students are going to have. Again, starting from their sophomore year all the way to their senior year. Now, I know that a lot of your students are starting into their junior year this year and coming up with the cohort that started last year. That still applies for them as well. I also wanted to touch on our Friday programming. As you may know, your students are going to be attending MCC courses Monday through Thursday. So they're going to be taking one course either Mondays and Wednesdays and the other course Tuesdays and Thursdays. So they'll be taking two courses, and then we have that opportunity for Fridays to create programming for them in order for them to be successful in the program. So this fall semester, as you probably already know, the courses will be in an online format. It will be remotely from either their houses at the first 2 weeks of the semester, because I know that Mesa Public Schools will be online the first 2 weeks. And then if Mesa Public Schools goes to in-person, they will still continue with an online format with Mesa Community College. They could either do it at home or they could do it at the high school, whether it would be in the library or any assigned area that they may have at the high school. They can start on the online format there remotely. But for Fridays, we're looking at, for the junior cohort, because they already went through the first year experience, now we're looking at workshops for them to have on Fridays. And it's going to be exactly at the same time as their MCC course would be. So it would be from 8:30 in the morning to 9:45 on Fridays. And we will send them all the links in order for them to connect those Fridays. But we're looking at workshops as far as helping them with career options, helping them with time management. We're right now currently getting all of the different facilitators in order for them to be able to facilitate those Fridays. Now, when it comes to the sophomores, we're looking more of the academic support for those sophomores. So we want to make sure that those Fridays are considered a study hall. So we are able to provide them with resources and support for their academic, so in order for them to be successful in their academics. Now, just as a reminder, for the Early College Academy program, we do need for you to be aware that the students have to earn a C or better in order for them to continue the program. So we will touch a little bit more on what the grading is and how progress reports are going to be offered throughout the semester. Sam? I'm going to pass it to Samantha to slides.
Yes. Okay. And as we kind of start this portion too, I just want to note that my sort of personal journey in college began when I was 15. So probably a lot of the ages that your sons and daughters are who are starting our program here. So I started at a community college when I was 15 for several reasons, but one of them being that I knew that I wanted, at the time I wanted to be a doctor. I ended up getting a PhD instead, so different kind of doctor. But I knew that I wanted to start. It was the best decision for me and my family, and I was also a first generation college student, so it was also the most affordable way for me to begin my college career. But I successfully was able to do my associates before my high school diploma, and then get my bachelor's and my master's and my PhD there. So I kind of understand what your students are going to be experiencing and what they're going through, and how that transition from high school to college kind of works, and why it might be stressful and different and all those kinds of things. So we're just going to go over some ways that you guys can help your students be successful as they make this transition, and then kind of look at some parent versus student responsibilities, because it does look a little bit different than it might in high school courses, and then just some basic kind of communication things to consider. So for you guys, just some things to think about as parents to help your student be successful in that online environment. I know they probably got a taste of what that might be like when we all went to online work this last spring. And so I've taught online, I've taught live online, which means they're taking the classes from their home, but at a specific time, like your students will be. And I think it's really important to have a workspace somewhere in your home where it is reserved for their workspace. So it's reserved for classes, it's reserved for homework, it's reserved for studying. Of course, it's nice to kind of mix up the environment, maybe you're studying and things like that, but it's important to have that space. I mean, for a lot of us, we might be working from home right now. I mean, I am, and I can't work very well on the couch because I'll either take a nap or I'll start watching Netflix, which is good for no one. So having like a designated workspace where they can be successful and have all their materials and they know that that's a space they come to be productive is really helpful. Having them create a study schedule. So I work with even my college students on this now, I mean, who are 18 and older. And even for myself, I make sure to block out my calendar, especially working from home and having kind of this like weird time space, but where I know that 8 to 10, I'm going to be in a class, let's say, and then from 10 to 11, I'm going to do some studying, and from 11 to 12, I'm going to take a break because by then, you've used a lot of your brain power. But really creating a routine and a schedule for them to stick to, because with these college courses, the thing that's very different, I think, than high school courses is that the time amount that you're going to need for your son or daughter to spend on these courses outside of the class itself is probably a lot more than they're used to in high school courses. Granted, some high school courses are really challenging, but they're going to need that time built into their schedule for reading, for writing papers, for studying, for different note taking, things like that, reviewing their notes. So building that into a schedule, allowing frequent breaks. I think that kind of makes sense. Having them work for an hour and then they get 10 minutes off and another hour and 5 minutes off, or however that looks to you guys and your families. I like to work in that kind of like Pomodoro method of I'm going to focus really hard for 20 minutes. I'm going to take 5 minutes off, just so that they're kind of in this like, when it's study time, it's study time. I'm not on my phone, and I'm not on Facebook or Instagram or things like that. Acknowledge when your student's doing good. So important to use positive reinforcement and encourage them. And yes, I mean, it's good to provide positive encouragement when they do well on an exam or a paper or grades, but it's also important to encourage them when they've completed their first whole week of classes and they have been, actually present for a whole week of classes, because that takes a lot. I mean, it's strenuous to sit in front of a computer for a couple hours a day. So just rewarding them and encouraging them when they do those kinds of things. So parent versus student responsibility. So what is the parent role? It looks a little different, like I said, in college courses. Again, like Monica had stated, it's really crucial that you guys take an active role in their success in this program, because the more that you can engage and know what they're doing and how they're doing and what they're learning, the more that they're going to get out of it too, and take initiative. So we really encourage you guys to be really active in these classes. Granted, they are college classes, but we're hoping that you're still taking that really active role. Please attend all orientation and parent guardian meetings. That's just so we can both have an open line of communication, so you know what's going on and we know what's going on, and that sort of thing. So that communication line is always open. You guys are more than welcome to reach out to us if there's any issues or things that you need to bring up. But make sure to attend those meetings like you're doing now. So thank you for being here. And then making sure they have all the related materials. So whether that's a textbook or it's printing off articles for them to read, or making sure they have highlighters or whatever it is they need to be successful, study guides, but making sure they have access to all the materials that they need for that class. And one way to look at what they might need for the different courses is just looking at that syllabus. Under that, the required materials or recommended materials, and making sure they have all of those before the class begins. Making sure you talk with your students. So, asking like, can you tell me one thing that you learned in your history class today? Can you tell me one thing that you did? in this class, or what the professor said, or what you guys are talking about, or big picture stuff. Again, just so you can kind of have that check-in with them and see how things are going, and kind of see what their response has been like to these college classes. And then just, being supportive and taking a look at their future goals. So I think even for me, when I started college back when I was 15, it can be difficult to, I think students sometimes have this perception that all college courses are going to be, and they are awesome. I mean, I would like to think that I'm an awesome instructor, but that they're going to be like really, really great. And they usually are, but it's also important for them to know that, like, if they're taking an English class or a history class or a math class and they're not, like, maybe they're not enjoying the material or the way it's taught, or something's not clicking with them, that you connect that course and how it fits into, like, the bigger picture of their career goals. Because in college, we still have to take those introductory courses that we're all not super thrilled about, maybe, but connecting it for them and making it meaningful and saying, yes, you're in this English 101 course now, but think about what it's building to. Think about how it fits into your associate's degree or your bachelor's degree, or maybe they want to be, a physician or a lawyer or a firefighter, whatever it looks like. But, like, this is how it builds into the bigger picture. This is why it's important, and giving them that perspective to make it more meaningful and more exciting. And this is why it matters. And if you continue on this trajectory, here's how many classes you're going to have of college done before you even get to, like, college, before you graduate. And so I think my parents helping to make that connection for me really helped me stay motivated and stay focused and get to those courses that were the ones that were my major courses that I really, thrived with. So just kind of keeping that in mind for them. Some student responsibilities now on the flip side. So what are your students responsible for? So attendance. Attendance is huge. I can say I've been a professor for 6 years, and I don't always require attendance in all my classes because they're adults and they can choose to attend or not attend. But I will say the students who attend and engage are the ones who are, way more successful. And that makes sense. That makes common sense to any of us. But they're the ones who stay up to date on the material. They know what's going on. But also they're the ones connecting with their peers. They're the ones having that relationship with their professors. They are building that rapport to get letters of recommendation in the future. So again, it's just attendance, but it's really building into this bigger picture of having a community. Again, getting those letters of references and recommendation, things like that they might not see as linked to attendance, but really attendance is super important. Attending those Friday programs and sessions, I'm helping to build those programs right now, those sessions, what they will look like, and I'm being very strategic and thoughtful in terms of thinking about what would have helped me when I was 15 or 16 and taking these courses and being in college. What would I have? What would I need to, like, learn? And also thinking about kind of just like the new student and where we're at in society with, like, how students learn and what they need to be successful. But the attendance of those are equally as important as attending their regular classes. And then having them just commit to the ECA program and goals overall and expectations. And, having a conversation with them to make sure that they're committed, they're engaged, they know what they're signing up for. I think I have this on here, but one thing I really want to mention is I've seen it time and time again, even with my normal freshman college students, quote unquote, who come from high school to college. Sometimes there's a a tendency to not take that freshman year, that first year of college, as seriously as they should. And I don't think that will be like the similar case necessarily for high school students, because they're still in your home environment, they're still living with you, they're still a minor, but explaining to them that they're taking college courses now. So these courses, it's not just to get through high school anymore. These courses are going to impact their college GPA permanently. And that's huge, because if you sort of get yourself into a hole, let's say, with your college GPA, it is difficult to build it back up again. It can be done. It's not impossible, but it's hard and it takes a lot of extra work. And so reminding them that these are college courses, they're not high school courses, they are college courses, which means that they're going to have an impact on you later on with scholarships or applying to graduate school or getting into med school or whatever that might look like for them. But just like reminding them of the seriousness of the implication of college courses. They need to follow the syllabus. So the syllabus is like that contract between the instructor and the student, just saying, hey, here's what I expect. Here's my class rules. Here's what the reading schedule looks like. Here's all the information. And, you know, I think different than high school courses, each instructor in college kind of has their own way of doing things. And that's kind of the academic freedom piece. So we get to decide sort of how we teach and what we teach and kind of those basic things. So making sure that they read through that syllabus and print it off and know what's expected of them in the individual classrooms is really important. And then making sure that the student knows that they can keep us informed of any difficulties or problems that they're having. The earlier, the sooner that we can know that, you know, someone's struggling or something's going on or something's happening, or there's a family emergency, the better that we can then help your student still be successful and work with the student. If students kind of disappear from the program and we can't reach out to them and contact them, it's hard for us to know what's going on or why they're not attending class. So just open and honest communication is always best policy. And we do have somebody this year who I think will be introduced to shortly, but who will be the day-to-day person kind of keeping track of exactly how they're doing and checking in on them. So that will help a lot as well. And then kind of to tie in with that, just keeping us aware of any changes to contact information, address, phone number. And that way, again, just so that we know that we can reach out to them and contact them and you if we need to. So let's go on to the next slide. Last slide from here is communication. So it's different because I think in a lot of with your high school students, you get access to their grades, you get access 24/7 to how they're doing, if they've submitted things, you have instant access maybe to the teachers, and that all changes when they go to college classes. It's not, those same rules don't apply. So they're going to be using Canvas, which I think you guys are kind of familiar with. They use that in high schools or all high schools, but that's our learning management system. So they will log in to Canvas to do all of their work. They will be able to see their grades. You don't necessarily get the same like login privileges because it is a college course. Can you ask for it? Sure, but we'll skip over that for now. But we will give you a quarterly grade distribution, so you can see the dates on the slideshow. So that you at least have some kind of an idea of what they're doing. But again, that's why it's important for you to kind of maybe ask for that, or ask them how they're doing, or ask them to show you their Canvas page. Go ahead, Monica.
Also, with those quarterly distributions, what we will do is that Friday, that date, we send them to you through email. We're going to have to look at a different process this fall, everything's remotely, but we would print it out, give it to the student for you as a parent to sign off on it, because we want to make sure you receive it. So we want to make sure that you fully have grades. We don't want to put all the time, and we want you to encourage them if having some issues when it comes to their grades.
Yes, thank you. So you will get that, and then so will the Mesa Public School lead counselors at each of their schools, who Monica also has the contact info for and the names of. And so they will get them, you will get them, and so everyone keeps that kind of communication circle. Go ahead.
Thank you. And for the schools, if you don't know there yet, but for the early college academy, each individual high school, Martinez actually just left the meeting. She has that Cinnamon Martinez high school. We have Kevin from Mount, and then we have Catherine Well, here, reason why remember, it just doesn't impact the GPA at MCC, it will impact their GPA at the high school. And if they're playing sport and they have a C, that may impact their sport as well. That's why they're getting information.
Yes, okay. And kind of what we had heard a little bit earlier, that if they fall below that C, that they will be considered probation. Because again, we want them to be successful, so we really want them to get an A, B, or C in their college courses. And so we will have that conversation if that time comes. And then again, they'll be using Canvas and WebEx. So WebEx is what we're using right now. That's how they'll attend their classes live, but from their house. And then the other big thing with communication with instructors, because FERPA exists, that means that basically parents cannot contact the professors or instructors directly. So that's, I know, a big change probably from high school. So just as a heads up there, you cannot communicate with the instructors directly, but we are happy to communicate with them for you if you have a need there. And I will hand it back over to Monday.
Thank you, Samantha. And just a reminder, and perhaps that's something that we should have included in the student's responsibility, as even though they're high school students, they're also college students. It's up to them to be in contact with the instructors. If they're having issues as far as not able to submit an assignment on time, or if they can dispute a grade, it's up to them. We encourage them to reach out. If they still don't feel comfortable with that, that's where we step in. And that's where we have our leads. I am the coordinator of the program, but I also have a staff that works under me that I'm able to say, hey, Anna, and that's why Anna has been reaching out to several of the parents to assist with the admissions portion. So we have a group of people within our office that are willing and able, who are here to help your students. Our number one priority is for your students to be successful in the program. Samantha is our programming support liaison. That's why we know that she has her expertise with our programming when it comes to our Friday programs, when it comes to orientations. That's why we bring in experts in fields in order for us to be able to get that that information. And then I want to introduce Celeste Andrade. I know she's in the group today. Celeste is our student success coach. If you recall, in the area where we said students' responsibilities was to inform us if they're struggling or if they're having difficulties, Celeste is actually going to be contacting regularly. She will have access to view their grades. She will have access to view their Canvas. And if they're missing assignments, if they're not submitting, if they're not logging in, we can see all of those things through Canvas. And Celeste, as a peer-to-peer coach, will reach out to them and say, hey, what's going on? What can I help you with? How can I provide support, resources? What do you need? Celeste, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, can you hear me? Hello. Give me a second.
Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hi, I'm Celeste. I'm gonna be the one that's gonna be helping your students out. Just checking up on them, making sure that everything is okay, or whether they need my help or not. Whether it be a little personal or even just for any assignments, contacting teachers and whatnot. So.
Thank you, Celeste. We piloted the student success coach with one of our other programs within the Early College Academy, which is the ACE program. And we saw tremendous success rates with our students as far as getting higher grades in their classes and completing every assignment. So We do thank Celeste for piloting that opportunity with our ACE, and now we're actually going to be able to implement this with the Early College Academy. So this will be the first year that we have that opportunity to have Celeste on board. And it's wonderful because I think our kids can connect. I mean, not that I'm not old, but I am a mom. So I understand that they may not feel comfortable with me as a mom, where they will be feeling more comfortable with Celeste as a younger student herself, that they will be able to reach out to her and say, hey, I'm having difficulties with this, this, and this. Okay. So I really appreciate that. I'm not sure if we have any other slides. I know we're getting close. Okay. So I'm going to open it up right now with questions. Like I said, if you don't feel comfortable in unmuting yourself and asking the question, you can always type it in the chat, and then we'll be glad to answer those questions. Remember, this is an opportunity for you to, if you have any questions, any concerns, please feel free to ask us those questions. Again, we have Mike Garcia. He's from Mesa Public Schools, and he's here also willing to help out and answer any questions that you may have within the Mesa Public Schools side. I also want you to see that acknowledgement form. I created a UR code. So let me explain a little bit what that is before I open it up for questions. So basically, if you have an iPhone, and I'm sorry, I know that some of us don't have iPhones, but I can only tell you how it works with an iPhone. If you point it as you're going to take a picture of it, it will link you to that form. In that form, for you to answer as far as acknowledging all the information that you received today, and that's telling me, yeah, Monica, I understood what you said, and I agree with my responsibilities as a parent. I will also email you that link. And I will email you as well of the course sequence, so you'll have more time to look at that. You'll always free to contact me. That's my direct contact information. I am right now, since I'm working still remotely from home, the best way to reach me is through email. It's the fastest way for me to be able to respond to you. So I have questions.
We had one question in the chat from Jamie. So the start date of classes is Monday, August 24th for students. And usually, and maybe there's a better answer to this, but for professors, they usually open the Canvas course about 2 or 3 days beforehand. I'm not sure if they can get the syllabuses any earlier than that. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
What they usually do is they will post their syllabus on the Canvas for kids to have. As soon as I'm hoping to register everybody by next week. I'm letting you guys know that. The reason why it's taking us a little longer is because of the admissions process and the documentation that we still are processing or have not received. So we're going to place your students in cohorts for those classes. As soon as I have that done, which is early next week, you will get an email with your students' invoice, with your students' actual list of courses. And you will have the name of the instructor in that list. And then the instructor should email your students as soon as they have a roster, letting them know how they're going to be logging in to that Canvas course. Just as a reminder, we are also creating a separate Canvas course for Early College Academy, okay? That's gonna be a separate course. It has nothing to do with their academics. That's only us to be able to communicate with your students. So if we have any updates, if we have any information, then we're able to send that information into that Canvas and everybody will have access to it. But classes are starting on the 24th of August, even though you guys are starting, I believe next week, the 5th or the 4th, the students' orientation will start on the 10th of August. And they're gonna be meeting the same time as if they would be meeting for their courses. So it's gonna be Monday through Thursday of that week of the 10th of August from 8:30 to 9:45. And Samantha and I will be providing that orientation for the students and giving them all of the information for them to get ready for the classes. Okay, the August 10th orientation is for brand new incoming students to the program. For the students that have already been in the program and this is their second year, their orientation will be the following week, which was August 17th. And they will have that week as well. So it's these 2 weeks in between while they're settling with their high school courses at the high school. They're only going to be getting the orientation through us. They're not going to get the actual courses until actually August 24th. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, is there a way to confirm all of the documents have been received so far for that, Vanessa? Yes, definitely. I actually, prior of today's orientation, I met with my staff that is actually entering all of the documents. And what we're doing now is going back and checking every single student. If there's a student that's missing a document, you will be reached. They're going to either contact you by phone or by email or both, letting you know exactly what the document is, most likely through an email, and they'll attach the form for you to fill it out, scan it, and email it back. Since I know that we've been having challenges with our dynamic forms, with the way that you were entering the forms through that system. Again, it's a learning curve, and I do apologize for that because of the new way that we're doing things now that we're doing everything remotely. So I hope I answered that question. Will students need to use their personal computers to access the class? Actually, all Mesa Public School students have their Chromebooks, and Mike, I'll allow you to speak to that.
Hello, yes, all Mesa Public Schools students do have a device, and if they don't have a device, then you should be in contact with the school about plans to pick up devices.
Thank you, Mike. So they're actually going to be using their Chromebooks to be able to access the MCC course. Any other questions? And you know what? And again, I'm a parent. Right now, you received a lot of information. So if in any, after we are done with our meeting, if you say, oh, I forgot to ask this, please email me. I will be glad to answer any of your questions. As a concerned mom myself, I know that this is going to be something new in a certain way because it's going to be in an online format. But let me put it out there just for you guys to know, and that might make a little bit of a difference. Even though it's in an online format, the actual instructor is going to be live like we're doing right now. So there's still going to be interactions with the students. It's just not going to be in person, but they're going to be able to ask questions. They're going to be able to talk to the instructor. It's in a live format. They're not going to be on their own doing their work. They have to sit in front of the computer from 8:30 to 9:45 to have that class taken. Just to clear your mind a little bit. That at least would ease mine, knowing that my son would be in front of a computer actually taking the class. Then if he was on his own, that can be a little challenging because you know how kids are, they can procrastinate. I procrastinate all the time. So any other questions? I really appreciate you guys' time. Like I said, we will record, well, we were recording this session. We will still send out that information and the acknowledgement form for parents that were not able to participate, and we'll go from there. So students will be getting emails by the end of this week about as far as their orientations. They will also have to fill out an acknowledgement form. That's important for us because that tells us we're committed. We understand our responsibilities either as a parent or as a student, and we want to move forward with the program. So again, I really appreciate your time. I won't take more time from your evening. Have a safe evening and looking forward to meeting you in person. Take care of yourselves.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Thank you,